Hello, my name is Michaela Patterson, and I chose the book Dark Desire by Summer Cooper. Starting off with a micro summary, Dark Desires is a romantic drama about a woman seeking freedom from her restricted family life, who then finds herself entangled with her brother's nemesis. The opposition starts with the main characters, which is Emily, the protagonist, then Roxy, which is the protagonist's best friend, and then we have Dylan James. He is the protagonist's love interest, and Trent, which is Emily's brother, and also Dylan James' nemesis. So the setting starts off in Myrtle Beach, specifically in the comforts of the protagonist's home. I say this because this book switches back and forth between Emily's perspective and Dylan James's perspective. So a lot of times when Emily is thinking, she is in the comfort of her own home, or I mean anywhere, but a lot of it was when she's at home relaxing. And the other setting is the Gentleman's Club, which I'm not sure if anyone knows what that means, but a Gentleman's Club is kind of like a club for women who sell themselves. Obviously consensual, but Gentlemen's Club is a little more fancy for a strip club because everything is worked out a lot better there and a lot more, how could I say this? Up top is what I'll say. Also, the conflict. The protagonist feels trapped by her family's responsibilities, so she seeks freedom and new experiences. So, in this book, Emily has always been put last. She's the only girl in the family, and she's constantly used by her brothers to babysit her kids all the time, all the time. They're calling her. They'll have her fly out from her home to their house to watch their kids all the time. So this makes her feel like she's trapped with her family's responsibilities because she's never actually got to live her own life. She's always been with her brother's kids. That's her job, and they don't look at her as anything else but someone to watch their kids. In the beginning of the book, they had even forgot her birthday, and this is what really turns her off and makes her want to find herself, makes her want to seek freedom and new experiences. That was her last straw. So, in this book is the complication, the conflict. Emily meets a man who shows her a new world. So, on her birthday, she goes to a gentleman's club, and with her best friend, she meets a man who shows her a new world. With this man, she starts spending more time and seeking freedom and adventure. She discovers that the man is her brother's nemesis, which complicates her feelings and actions. This doesn't happen until later on in the story, but for now, we're just going to stick to her spending more time and seeking an adventure with him. With this man, he kind of opens her up and lets her experience things that she's never experienced before. I would like to say that I did not realize that this book was going to be the way that it is. I read the back of the book to kind of get a see, okay, this is going to be interesting. I would like to do my presentation over this. So I'd like to apologize for anybody that had to read it because I did not realize it was this graphic and explicit. But I will say I did like it. It was a good read, but I just did not realize that it was this graphic. So I apologize to anybody that had to read it. But yes, okay. So then we get to climax. The turning point. The protagonist realizes the true identity of her love interest and faces a major dilemma. So throughout this time, Emily has spent time with this man, and he has made her feel things that she's never felt. She's a virgin. She has never had any type of man touch her the way that this man has touched her. Not even that she's just a virgin. Any type of touch she's never had. She's always been the shadow in everyone else's eyes. So this is the first time that she has been put first. And in her fear, she was always scared that these men were not going to put her first, because most of the time, I won't say most of the time, that's a hasty generalization. Sometimes men are always trying to get pleasure first. So that's what she was expecting, and that's what she was afraid of. So when she spends the time with this man, she realized that she feels more for him. In her point of view, she starts to feel more for him. She starts to want to spend more time with him. Because in the book, there was a contract for him to please her and to show her things that she'd never seen before. And the contract was only supposed to be 2 to 3 days. From Dylan's point of view, he has never been with a woman more than 2 to 3 days to show her things that he's never or they've never experienced. So it was very interesting for her to feel this way. And secretly in her head, she wanted more time with the man. And when it got to the next chapter and we started listening from Dylan's point of view, he also wanted to spend more time with her, but he thought he could use other women and get in bed with the other women to get her out of his mind. But in the end, he could never really get her out of his mind. So he decided to make another contract with her and tell her, like, hey, I want to spend more time with you. So the emotion, I would say the highest emotional tension occurs as, sorry, I can't talk. The highest emotional tension occurs as she must decide whether to continue her relationship or avoid him to prevent family conflict. Excuse me. So I will say the emotion is that this revelation brings the highest emotional tension as she must decide whether to continue her relationship or avoid him to prevent family conflict. Like I said, she was having this time with this man, and in the end, when it came to the point where they were agreeing to make this 2 week agreement or this 2 week contract, she meets up with her brother because he was blowing up her phone to try to figure out. She thought something was wrong. So she met up with her brother. But in reality, when she met up with her brother, she found out that the man that she has been experiencing with, she found out that this man is the same man that her brother is having problems with, because her brother buys land and Dylan James is the man who has come from another state, another city, and has tried to buy land. But instead, Trent, Emily's brother, has been buying every single spot that Dylan is trying to find under him. So, in order for her to avoid family conflict, she has to think to herself, do I want to continue with this person that I've never experienced things with, that he showed me things that I've never experienced? Do I want to continue with him, or do I want to prevent family conflict? Because she's afraid that her brother will find out, her people will find out who she is. Because personally, when she's been in this gentleman's club, she's had on a mask, so nobody knows her true identity, and her fake name is Stephanie. So no one actually knows what her real name is. The falling action. So we just went through the climax, and we realized that Emily has found out that Dylan James is her brother's nemesis. This has her scared and not knowing what to do. So the falling action, the protagonist grapples with her internal conflict, weighing her desires against her family's expectations. So here she's thinking about if she wants to continue with Dylan or if she wants to protect her family. She considers the consequences and how they will impact her future. And finally, we are at denouement. The protagonist has to make a decision that defines her future. She feels like she has no one that she can go to about this situation. Not her brother, because he would be upset with her. Not Dylan, because she doesn't know if he already knows who her family is and who she is. And she thinks that maybe he knew who she was the whole time and is using this situation to get back at her brother. So she feels like she can't trust him. And she also feels like she can't trust her best friend Roxy. Not trust her, but she feels like she can't tell her best friend Roxy because she's just so confused and she doesn't want to be judged with her decision. So, in the end, the story concludes with a cliffhanger leading to another book called Dark Rules. I will say, picking this book, I did not realize that it was a series. If I would have knew it was a series, I probably would not have chosen this book. But yes, this book did kind of make me upset because I wanted to know what happened. And when I got to the last chapter, it left me on a cliffhanger. So I did like this book. So I will be going and buying the $5 ebook here soon, and I will be reading that. But yes, I would like to say that this book was very interesting. It was explicit, but it was still very interesting to me, and I did get engaged with it. I'm not the best at reading, but this book did help me when it came to reading, and I read through it very fast. So let's get to the themes. The themes are freedom versus family. I think the protagonist struggle between seeking personal freedom and adhering to her family responsibilities. They kind of clash here. She doesn't know if she wants to continue with her freedom or protect her family. Because if you think about it, her family has always put her last. They never even looked her way or thought about her in any sense. So she's thinking, why should I care about my family's image when my family has never cared about me? Another theme I thought there was forbidden love, the relationship between the protagonist and her brother's nemesis. In her eyes, she thinks, okay, this is my brother's nemesis. This is not right. So this can be seen as forbidden love as well. The motifs. The first motif I think this story represents is escape. The the protagonist has tried to escape multiple times in this book, specifically her desire to escape her restrictive life. For example, she's so tired of doing the same thing over, being only one thing to her brothers. And she wants to escape and live. She's never lived. Also, secrets. The hidden identity of the love interest and the hidden desires of the protagonist. In this book, we actually see a different side of Emily. This book really helps her open up to figure out who she is because she finds out stuff about herself that she did not even know. Also, the hidden desires of the protagonist. There's a lot of stuff that she learns that she likes that she had no idea she even was interested in. So, okay. Latent messages. The first latent message I think there is the dangers of forbidden relationships. The risk involved in pursuing relationships that are socially or personally taboo. This scene, the Gentleman Club scene, is not a look for everyone. For example, her family is very known and very rich. They have a lot of money and they're seen as high class. So if she was seen in this area, in this kind of relationship, she would be looked at different and it would put a different image on her family. So that's why it's seen as a forbidden relationship and dangerous. Also, self discovery. The importance of understanding one's true desires and the courage to pursue them. She really grows in this story. She learns a lot about herself that she didn't know and she opens up. So that's why I think self discovery is also a latent message in this book. Now we are at the original analysis. So the first analysis is the protagonist's character development. The protagonist starts as a timid and unsure individual struggling with self doubt and fear of failure. Key events such as overcoming personal challenges, forming meaningful relationships, and facing adversities contribute to her growth. By the end of the story, the protagonist becomes confident, assertive, and more self-aware. She showcases a significant transformation in this story. Now we will talk about the examination of the love interest role on the protagonist. The love interest is introduced as a supportive and understanding character who challenges the protagonist to see beyond their limitations. His encouragement and belief in the protagonist's potential play a crucial role in boosting the protagonist's self-esteem. There is some pivotal moments in this book, such as shared experiences and emotional support during crisis, strengthening the protagonist's resolve and contributing to her development. The exploration of the motive of escape. The motive of escape is depicted through the protagonist's desire to break free from constraints, whether physical or emotional. Scenes such as attempts to leave a stifling environment or moments of introspection about freedom highlight this motive. For example, this desire for escape propels the protagonist to take bold actions, driving the plot forward and leading to significant turning points. So there's ways that she was trying to escape mentally from her brothers and also from interacting with this man explicitly. Lastly, we will talk about the analysis of the climax. The climax occurs when the protagonist faces her greatest challenge. During the climax, the protagonist makes critical decisions that reflect her growth and resolve. This moment is important as it resolves key plot points and solidifies the protagonist's transformation, setting the stage for the story's resolution. Now we'll talk about the personal reflection on the story's message and its relevance to real life situations. The story's message about the importance of self discovery and the courage to pursue one's dreams resonates deeply. Themes of balancing personal desires with, with family obligations and the pursuit of freedom are relevant to many real life situations. Personally, the story highlights the value of perseverance and staying true to oneself, offering inspiration and insight into navigating similar challenges in life. And this is my work citing. Now, I just want to give a reflection of the book in total. Emily feels like she's stuck in a hole. She's stuck in the shadow of her brothers. All they ever want to do is have her babysit their kids. They don't see her purpose. And finally, it comes to her birthday and they completely forget her birthday. So she decides to celebrate with her friend Roxy. And this is when she comes to Roxy and tells her, I want you to show me your world, which is the Gentleman's Club. Roxy gets her into the Gentleman's Club and she meets a man. Emily has never had any type of relationships with a man, so she doesn't know a lot about it. But eventually, she starts to pursue this man, and this man never actually has long-term relationships with anyone. That's not what he's looking for. He's busy with buying buildings and creating businesses. So he just likes pleasure. So he only stays with women 2 to 3 days. And Roxy doesn't really know what she wants. But together, they learn about each other and they both come to the conclusion that they want to spend more time together. When it comes time to create a new contract, they say they want to do 2 weeks. And they did not know each other's real names. So when it was time to sign the contract, Dylan signed his real name. And when she seen this, she was curious and she realized that this was her brother's nemesis because Trent, her brother, was the man who was buying all the buildings right out from under. Buying all the buildings right out from under Dylan James. So they do not like each other at all. So this is where she comes to the conclusion that she has to make a decision. Either she wants to pursue her love interest or she wants to protect her family. And this is where the book leads us on a cliffhanger, and we don't know what's wrong or what happens. So now I'm going to buy the book. I'm going to read the rest of it. Thank y'all so much for listening. I hope y'all enjoyed this as much as I did. Y'all have a good Christmas break. And I really enjoyed class with y'all. I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot more and I engaged a lot more than I ever had before. So I appreciate y'all for letting me experience that. All right. See y'all again.